Nature, like racing, is raw. You must be aware of your environment as you are surrounded by energy. You must learn to harness it, store it, and release it. Then you can achieve anything.
Prepare to be aggressive.
Hyperdrive now.
Extreme E is an all-electric motorsport that raises awareness of the growing issue of climate change around the world. 2 months after its first race of Season 3, along the beaches of the Red Sea in Saudi Arabia, the championship's vessel, the St Helena, docked in Dumfries and Galloway in Scotland to unload the cars ahead of rounds 3 and 4.
It's incredible to be racing in Scotland. It's like a home race for me and also for the team being based here in the UK. This scenery is incredible in an old coal mine, which is going to be repurposed into a hydro plant. It's really breathtaking and you can see a lot of the track from the paddock, so I think that's quite a cool experience for the engineers and mechanics that don't also get to see the racing normally.
Strangely, I lived in Scotland from age 9 to 13. It was pretty far from here, 2-3 hour drive, but immediately driving south of Glasgow and getting down here, it's just like familiar territory. So that is quite cool. It brings back a lot of memories. Such a beautiful country and such an epic place to kind of come full circle and be racing in.
After the first 2 rounds of the championship in Neom, Acciona Sainz and Veloce were level at the top of the standings. Their drivers were looking to keep up the pressure on the rest of the field in Scotland.
Of course, it's good to be in the position we are. We are sharing the leading of the championship, but of course, it's a long championship. We have double header in every race this year. We come here in Scotland without knowing the terrain. It's a new place. I think it will be sometimes muddy maybe because sure some days will rain. Of course, will be complete different conditions from Saudi. We need to adapt quick to this kind of terrain and we will try it. And of course the goal is try to have no big mistakes. I think it's really important in the quali is to be consistent and to get to the final, and then there everything can happen.
Starting the season in such a good way in Saudi is certainly a massive boost for us and the team and our momentum for the rest of the season. Fantastic feeling, but there's certainly not everything that we did perfectly in Saudi either, so there's still a lot of learnings that we take from that and things we can improve, so that's very much the focus now heading into round 2. We know it's Extreme E, we know it's tough competition, and yeah, it's a great opportunity to take all the points that you can when the opportunities are there, but nothing's given in this sport, so we've got a lot of hard work ahead of us, but we're feeling really good. We know where we can be better, and that's the plan.
At each of the race locations it visits, Extreme E puts a spotlight on the environmental issues that the region faces and some of the ways that we can help mitigate the effects of climate change. Here in Scotland, we are racing in a former coal mine where there are plans to transform it into a hydro power plant.
We're here in Scotland racing with Extreme E this week, symbolically at the site of an old open-cast coal mine, which has now been converted into a hydroelectric pump storage scheme. Scotland has an abundance of renewable energy sources that it uses to create carbon-free power. But the difficulty with renewables is that they're intermittent. The sun might not be shining for the solar panels, wind might not be blowing for the wind turbines, and it's difficult then to balance the needs. A key problem with renewables then is the issue of storage. and how you go about storing huge amounts of energy. When the wind blows too much or too hard, that power can't be transported to the grid. It makes sense then to store that energy if you can, and that's very difficult to do. Renewables have looked into all sorts of ways of doing this, through batteries, and hydro is a key solution to that problem. Effectively, this entire site can be used as an energy storage system. The way the storage system works is that in periods of excess wind, where that excess energy can't be delivered to the grid, you can use that power to move the water from a lower lake to a higher lake. And then in periods of demand, when the wind might not be blowing, for instance, you can let that water down and it comes down a pipe and spins through a generator to make electricity. Once completed, the scheme will power 289,000 homes. Getting off the fossil fuel carbon treadmill is essential to combat climate change. Rolling out renewables at the pace that Scotland has sets an example to the rest of the world. The sector has grown more than 4 times since 2010. What's required is a change in mindset, political will, and the technology to get cracking with it. It's a great opportunity for Extreme E to be here to showcase this transition from old technology to the new future. And while this is symbolic of the transition that we need to make, it's brilliant that it's actually going to be producing electricity to so many homes through the UK. It's the sort of thing that we need to do more and more of, the opportunities that we need to take in the transition from the carbon economy into the new world.
A new team for Season 3, Carl Cox Motorsport showed some initial promise during the first 2 rounds in Neon, and were hoping to be boosted by the presence of world-renowned DJ and team owner Carl Cox for the race in Scotland.
What's so different about this? It feels adventurous. It feels like we're pioneering. It feels like we're all coming together to create something unique in motorsport. For me to be a part of that is really fantastic. Having chosen Timo and Christine, I just want them to pin it and have fun and come home safely. This is what this is all about as well, equality. Because there's no other racing in such a form that we have the ability to have, guys and girls racing against each other. For me to be able to help that and highlight that is great. This terrain that we have the cars racing on is probably some of the gnarliest racetracks I've ever seen, and me being here for the first time and actually seeing the track laid out in the quarry, you can really appreciate what these cars go through, what the teams go through. It's a leveller.
I'm Tommi Holman,
I'm Tamara Molinaro.
your Hydro X Prix Championship drivers.
Round 3 and 4.
Dumfries and Galloway.
Scenic Scotland.
Total race distance 11.5 kilometers, including start point and driver switch zone.
26 waypoints.
The terrain changes from compact rock and stone to moorland grass.
Waypoint 3, drivers will fight through this narrow section.
Continental traction challenge between waypoints 6 and 12, fighting for 2 points, which could be the make or break.
The jump.
The bray, the drop. At the bottom you have a tight right-hand turn to the switch zone.
Or fast left to continue to the next lap or to the finish line.
This is a multi-terrain course, so the drivers will be tested in all different terrains.
After much anticipation for the 3rd round of the championship to get underway, the drivers were faced with a frustrating first morning of the race weekend, as thick fog covered the mine, making course visibility near impossible. After qualifying 1 was cancelled, even more pressure was on the teams, as they would only have one chance to secure that all-important place in the grand final.
Q2, race 1. A lot of wheel spin from X44 on the inside. Tons of dust coming up from Sorensen on the outside already. A big squeeze. Maybe going to contact down here. It's Gutierrez on the inside line. Lyle Sands trying to come around. Sorensen's got a great run. Amanda Sorensen going to try and go through the water. But it's X44 who gets through into the whole shot.
Great job. Everyone has used hyperdrive.
Oh, look at the rear getting kicked up as well.
A good start and lead advantage for X44 Vida Carbon Racing, with the other teams chasing behind.
Lyle Sands is all over the back of Sorensen. Look at this fight. Katie Munnings is right there as well. It's all about the fight for P2, 3 and 4 here.
Good stuff. Keep the pressure.
Despite the poor visibility, the muddy windscreen didn't stop Katie Munnings as she went for a late dive.
Katie Munnings has managed to pass Lyle Sands and puts them into P3. So for Andretti Autokila, that is a fantastic move by Katie Munnings right at the end of her run.
After the switch, X44's Fraser McConnell would go on to stretch the lead up to the finish line.
Fraser McConnell and Christina Gutierrez going to go through to the grand final for X44. That's a brilliant drive by them. P2, Chip Ganassi Racing, Sorensen and Anderson making the cut, and P3, Munnings and Hansen. They will have to wait and find out if they get a good time in the Continental Traction Challenge.
On to qualifying 2, Heat 2, and it was drama right from the start.
Wipers are on for some of these cars already. Come on. Push.
Push, 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 push.
There's a little bit of side-by-side going on through that narrow section down the end. Contact and a roll! Absolutely huge crash. It's Anderson for out Cupra. It's a big old crash. That might well be a red flag.
Clara, are you okay? Clara? Clara, are you okay? Clara, give us a sign if you're okay.
There we are. That's Clara Anderson sitting in the car. She looks okay but shaken. She'll be very disappointed. There'll be a lot of damage on that car.
Some technical issues in the Veloce car meant they were also out of the running for a spot in the grand final as the race restarted. It was a very tight battle between the 3 cars left, but Rosberg X Racing kept the lead into the switch zone by a very small margin. So there was no time to lose. But an infringement for not parking completely inside the bay cost Neon McLaren a 5-second penalty. Pressure for Emma Gilmore, as she not only had to overtake Christine GZ, but she also had to have a clear 5-second gap to put her team in the grand final.
Kristofferson looks on a mission for RXR. Wait and see whether or not Gilmore uses that Innova hyperdrive.
Fast up the hill, come on.
She's made the pass. Come on, Emma, let's go.
Push, push, push. We need a gap of 5 seconds to Christine.
Johan Kristofferson coming down the hill. This is an easy win for RXR, so they're going to go through to the grand final. He pitches the car in. Emma Gilmore does take P2, but I think GZ's close enough at the minute, so it's going to come down to the Continental Traction Challenge. Unfortunately, P3 is not going to be enough because Andretti Autokila have the faster time than Neil McLaren in the Traction Challenge.
Established by 7-time Formula One world champion Sir Lewis Hamilton, X44 Vida Carbon Racing has been part of the Extreme E Series since its very first season. After winning the title in Season 2, the team's ethos remains to promote diversity and equality in motorsport.
Sport has an opportunity to help raise awareness. There is a platform, and the reason I really love this series, yes, there's racing, but it's electric, and it's also raising awareness in those places. I would say my role is more like the visionary, making sure that we've got the right people so that we deliver over and above. I know how I want my team to look, I know what I want the messaging to be. That's what I will be focusing on in the background.
When I'm on site, my main focus is on the drivers, so managing them, ensuring that I'm with them on the track walk and interacting with them to find the best racing line. And as we get into racing for the weekend, I'm in the command centre and on hand talking with the drivers, so it's a really exciting role that changes day to day. This season, as X44, we're really bringing Lewis's values more into the team this year. It's about creating opportunities for people that may not otherwise have an opportunity to enter into motorsport. And that's something that came out strongly from the Hamilton Commission. We've changed to run the car with Carlin, and Carlin have brought a really great, diverse team. So far we've had one race with them and we've bonded, and now we're ready to attack the rest of the season.
I'm really proud to be the first female team principal in Extreme E, and I think the fact that it's X44 that have done that is really fitting. My job kind of starts before we get on site, really. It's just making sure that we're in good shape before we even arrive at the event. When we get on site, it's just making sure that we're in the right mindset, getting the drivers on board with the engineering team and gelling that unit together. The preparations that you can do are very different to lots of other motorsport. The environment is constantly changing, so it is quite a unique challenge to get everybody up to speed as quickly as possible.
For me last year to have the possibility to win the championship means a lot. I was very happy for all the team because we deserve it. It's one of my best moments in my career. I love racing with this team because we give opportunities to people who normally we don't have it, and this is a good way to create a future. Having racing in the team is a really nice experience because it's like my little brother. I learn a lot from him and I hope he learns from me. And this is good because I think we can join much more as a team.
Getting the call to be a part of X44, still get goosebumps when I think about it. First real professional drive, and to be racing for a man as goated status as Lewis, it couldn't be better. The team is all about presenting opportunity, and I've used this opportunity and grabbed it with both hands and trying to produce some results for him.
One of the most dramatic courses that Extreme E has raced on was in Kangerlussuaq in Greenland. As part of a commitment to leave a lasting positive legacy, drivers Katie Munnings and Clara Anderson returned to the Arctic island 2 years after the race in Season 1. They took part in a programme to teach kids about electric mobility using go-karts and also travelled through the country to see the impact of climate change firsthand.
Today we're having a tour from Sissimut to Kangerlussuaq. In the winter, it's all by snowmobile or dog sled, and it's really interesting to see the way that they transport themselves and equipment, because the changing climate is making a lot of problems for the locals, especially the people that are living in settlements.
Welcome here in Sissimut, Greenland. It's great to have you back. And now we're out in the snow, because Extreme E has been here twice, but this is the first time in the winter. Winters in the Arctic are changing fast. It's here we see the climate change most, making the winter season shorter, changing fisheries because the water is getting warmer. We're only 57,000 people and spread out on this biggest island in the world. So we have many small settlements, and with climate change some of them get more isolated because you cannot go on the sea ice as you used to.
What I didn't realise is that there's actually no roads joining the big cities here. And so in the winter, the main form of transport is either snowmobile or dog sled. We went and saw some of those areas where I think it's a real challenge now for them to get from A to B. One of the first stops that we did was to arrive at a settlement that had been abandoned about 50 years ago. We could stand above and actually look at the settlement, but we couldn't reach it because the ice had melted and the ground was too soft for us to reach it. So that just highlights, for the local people that are living this daily, it is becoming a real problem for them. I've noticed as we've been riding up here that the ice is melting in areas. Is that normal or is that unusual?
No, that's also a new factor here, that we see that we have +degrees in the middle of the winter for many days, and then the snow melts and water is running, and then it starts freezing again. So that makes dangerous situations because we get these ice accumulations.
The ice is melting, and it's both dangerous for you and me on the sled, but also for the dogs. And we could see there were a lot of ditches forming and everything, and it just makes you sad because you can see it in the first point of view what is actually happening here.
Greenland and the Arctic is about winter. It's winter more than half the year. So it's great to have Clara and Katie here, and hopefully their platform for speaking out to so many people around the world will affect us positively, and more people will care about climate change.
I don't know any other championship than Extreme E that does the trips and the legacy projects like this. Like, we're not only racing and wanting to win, but also learning so much about all these remote locations. And coming here 2 years later after you raced, I am learning so much. I've never been to Greenland or seen anything like this, and it's unlike anything that I've ever experienced before.
With Apt out of the running due to car damage in qualifying, the redemption race was down to 4 teams, with both championship leaders in the mix. As the lights went green, the redemption race was underway.
A decent roundup of all four. Who's going to make it into the turn one?
Yeah, Kevin Hansen tried to come around the outside in that repair Veloce, and Casey, we saw him hit the same puddle that we saw earlier on, and it just pulls all the pace out of the car. He's still right there with him. Emma, I thought, might get to turn one first on the inside line, but just not quite enough off the line to get down there and backwards at the back of these four.
Super good. And then second position. Come on, come on.
Despite Veloce trying their best, they could not catch up to Acciona Sainz.
Lyasand's looking extremely comfortable there in the car. Maybe if we go up 2 wheels, it's okay, because there it was. This is a big finish for Lyasand.
With Acciona Sainz finishing first in the redemption race, they were able to creep ahead of Veloce into the lead of the championship. However, that could all change as the grand final of the Hydro X Prix was here.
Look for the green, there it is. Oh, a lot of wheels been there for RJ Anderson. We've seen 4 cars using an hyperdrive off the line. On the outside line, it's Johan Kristoffersen who's trying to come the entire way round the outside, carry the extra speed through. If he ends up in the water, he might lose time, goes through there. Sideways for Andretti United. And look at that, McConnell coming up for X44. He waited for the exit with the Anoa hyperdrive and makes the passes on the run down to that first left-hander. Brilliant tactics. They're coming a bit hot though. Runs high up on the hill. Oh, Andretti out to Kiel, having a look up the inside. Timmy Hansen going to pass McConnell, pushes him out wide. Kristoffersen there to pick up the pieces. Oh, McConnell runs up the back on the outside, almost contact with the RXR machine. Finally, the cars are in a line. McConnell looking on the brakes to try and get past. Look like brilliant tactics. Look at that gravel rash all over the top of the car. It's Hansen who leads.
Wow.
Oh, and RXR off the side of the road. Johan Kristoffersen. I think I don't know if something broke on the car. He ended up going hard left off the road. There he is on board. He's fine. It's a light roll. Doesn't even look perplexed by it. But RXR are out of this one.
You okay?
I couldn't see. Sorry.
With RXR out of the race, a third-place podium was up for grabs when disaster struck for number 99 GMC Hummer EV.
You copy, right front flat, right front flat.
It's a puncture for Anderson. Front right is down on Anderson's car. There it is.
Despite the quick tyre change for number 99 GMC Hummer EV, Carl Cox Motorsport was able to take third place. However, the battle for the win was between X44 and Andretti.
Car 23 under investigation for a switch zone infringement.
What are we under investigation for?
It just says switch zone infringement, we don't know.
Money's going to fire the Andretti all to keel it down the hill through the left-hander. They're going to take the checker flag with the investigation still to come, but it is a great drive by Hansen and Monies to win round 3 of Extreme E. Yes, Katie! P2, McConnell and Gutierrez, and wait for it. There's Gutierrez. She tried hard but couldn't get close enough. And here comes Carl Cox Motorsport. They are going to take their first ever podium here in Scotland.
But the celebrations from the Andretti team were short-lived as they were given a 15-second time penalty.
Oh, penalty. They've been dropped to they've been dropped to P2 according to the timing screens. Gutted.
We've got it, Chris. They got a 15.3 second penalty. Well done, well done.
Allowing X44 to win round 3 of the Hydro X Prix, with Andretti coming in second and Carl Cox taking third.
It's incredible. You know, I can't be any prouder than the team with these two absolute gun drivers. They love what they do. They're really enjoying the moment, you know, and they really stepped up to the plate when we needed it most.
I think we did an amazing job getting the start. We kept a 7-second gap to the end, so I think we did a great job as a team. You know, in the drive, I've got to try and figure out what happened a bit in the penalty, but I think, you know, it's been a while for us to get back to this point. We've had a few unlucky races, so this feels like a win in itself. You know, a marathon, we've crossed the corner, and I think it gives us a lot of confidence and motivation as a team now, so we're super happy.
It is a track that is going to bite and has bitten already.
Contact to the roll! Absolutely huge crash! It's Anderson Brad Cooper.
I was in a similar position at the start of the first corner of the final that Clara was in when she had a big accident. So you can't really think about those things when you're driving. You have to take every corner one step at a time. Had a good reaction to the green light and just kind of took it step by step from there. And it's such a competitive field, and no one wants to give an inch. But I was able to give Christina the car in a, I'd like to give it in a better position, but I was able to do it. Second was the best I could do there. So the pressure was on really hot, and the people who were in first, Andretti, they made a mistake and they paid for it.
Yeah, when I took the car, I knew that for sure we need to push because we want to win. I tried to go as fast as possible. I tried to catch Katie. Katie always is a very difficult driver to overtake and is also very fast, so I tried to do my best, and finally the team manager, Steph, told me there is some penalization coming in, and I tried to push a little bit more to try to be close, and hopefully it works and we win.
This year, big shoes to fill with Seb Love leaving. You know, he was someone I idolized and still do to this day. Growing up as a kid, watching him race, you know, he's a legend in the sport. And filling shoes that big, you know, hopefully one day I will be able to say I filled half of it. But not too long, and we've been able to dig out a win. So very happy with that.
For me it's very important, and also for Fraser, I think the work together, the good communication. I think this happened because teamwork and hard work together.
I mean, you know, it's always very important to celebrate the wins. I'm a big believer in really recognizing when you've done something bad and work on it, but also when you do something good, you have to really enjoy it, because you know this is all for fun. It's very serious and, you know, professional competition, but if there's no fun involved, then you know what's the point. So have fun, enjoy it, and you know these are the moments you work for.